What's up, everybody? Today we're going to do another EXP testimonial. And this one's really, really special. We're going to be going into some really cool myths and fears and things. Michael Glaspie is who we have today, and he has so much. He's doing so much and had to go through so much while so much was going on. Him and his partners have so many things that they have their hands in. So we're going to dive into all that today. But first, I want to edify Michael Glaspie. He is a commercial real estate investment advisor in North Carolina. Mike attended the University of Houston downtown, where he received his bachelor's degree in business management, his master's in business administration from the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. Mike, stop me if I got any of this incorrect. He served over a decade in the U.S. Army, with the majority spent in special operations as a Green Beret. Since purchasing his first investment property in 2014, Mike switched his focus to creative investing strategies in real estate. In less than 3 years, he completed several transactions in a variety of ways, such as subject twos, wholesales, flips, hotel syndication, arbitrage rentals, loan assumptions, and short-term buy and hold rentals. Mike currently holds rental properties and short-term arbitrages in multiple states, and co-founded an investment-centric real estate team, all while serving full-time in the military. Now, as a veteran, Mike continues to practice real estate with a focus of educating other veterans on how to build a lifestyle they deserve through creative investing, and also the co-host of the Cash Flow. Did I get that? Military Cash
Flow. Yes, sir.
Military Cash Flow podcast. Did I miss anything, Mike?
No, man, that's good. It covered all of it, more than I remember.
So without further ado, we got Mike Glaspie. Mike, give us a little bit of background why you originally got into real estate.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll try to keep it short and sweet. While I was serving in the military, I ended up having a couple of deployments that were a little bit tougher than I expected. And so at that time, I was essentially, like many of us do, we start to kind of climb that ladder, but then we quickly realize, hey, maybe this job or this career field just isn't for me. What's another option? And, as I mentioned, I bought my first property in 2014, and I was renting out other units to other teammates of mine or other soldiers of mine and our other rooms. And I realized that this was called house hacking, right? This is investing. Right. So immediately I'm now a full-fledged real estate investor, right? I'm a badass in my mind, right? So I start to go down that hole, and I found out that real estate can be a supplemental income to help me get out of my current career field, which was the military at the time. Well, by the time I transitioned out, I would already replace my full active duty income just through the brokerage side, helping clients find their investment properties in their forever homes. And I was also able to build up my investment portfolio to a little over 130 units that helped me supplement a lot of that additional income. So that's kind of why I got started in real estate, to really find that freedom, right? A time freedom and that financial freedom that everybody talks about in the books.
So I want to obviously get to, I want to go chronologically here of you making this transition to EXP, but I think first it might be interesting for you to share, what got you as an investor. It sounds like you started investing first, but you got a real estate license and you started practicing traditional real estate as a real estate agent. Why did you make that shift?
That's a great question. So as an investor, I feel like the real difference between successful and non-successful people in any venture is the people who can find more solutions is going to win out, right? They're going to be more successful. They're going to be able to close more deals and have a much higher customer satisfaction rating. So in the investing side of the house, I was able to, maybe I could wholesale it, maybe I could flip it, maybe I could seller finance it. But one thing that I was missing was the ability to put it on the market and represent the sale. And when I realized that what I do as an investor is calling sellers anyway, having a real estate license, one, it's going to give me another option, another exit option where I list and I get paid that way. Two, it allowed me to potentially build a team around that structure, right? And then there's other avenues to make money within as a real estate agent goes. And the final one is the referral network. So for those who aren't licensed, or if you are licensed, being able to sit back and have my buddy call me from California and say, hey, Mike, I've been thinking about buying a house, man. What do you think? Where are you buying it? When are you already pre-approved? Look, man, I got a guy for you. They go out and close that $1.2 million property and I get a check. come on, man.
Yep.
It was almost a no-brainer for me.
Yep, I think there's a lot of fear around that too. You know, you and I both. I have very similar story and reasons for doing that too. But I think there's a lot of fear around. I don't see myself as a real estate agent. I don't want to do what a real estate
Mhm.
agent does. I do a lot of real estate agent activities now, having a team myself. And I always tell people I don't feel like a real estate agent though. I really still feel like a
Yep.
business owner, an investor at the end of the day, right? So I love that you talk about solutions because I 100% agree. If you don't have solutions for people, they're just going to shop you, you know, with other people. If you're already meeting with them, why would you not have that solution? At least from a referral standpoint, like you're talking about, either referring out of state or out of area or in area. If you're not going to service the sale, you can still get the referral check for these people, right? So
Absolutely.
that's so cool, man. So, all right. So when you started doing this, you joined a team, if my memory serves me correctly. Is that correct? You joined a real estate team when you got
So what
your
happened
license.
was my business partner was representing me on a transaction
Mhm.
while I was an investor at the time, and unfortunately, we didn't actually close on that deal. But we both got to know each other pretty well. I really enjoyed her work ethic. She knew I knew a little bit about real estate investing. So when I decided to get licensed, I actually approached her and said, "Hey, why don't we start a team?" Because she was an independent agent at the time. And so it was a little bit of a different scenario for me. She was a rock star, badass agent, right? And I was doing my thing in the investing side. So we came together to create a team kind of from scratch, where I leaned on her heavily to learn the agency side. And then she
Mhm.
leaned on me for more of the creative investing and things of that nature. And then we were able to form a team with that investor centric focus because both of us had a very similar work ethic and a very similar mindset when it comes to real estate.
Very cool. So you guys were hopping along and growing this team. I saw you guys. You guys were sending us a bunch of referrals down here in Columbia. So I was watching you guys. You guys were crushing it, recruiting agents, and you guys were growing. And then how conversation come up? Because I'm sure that felt like a hard to the left, you know what I mean? And you have business partners involved and all that stuff. But the first time, we'll dissect all that. The first time you heard about EXP, where was it? Who brought it to you, or how'd you find out?
That's another good question. So we actually started at Keller Williams. I know my internet's messing up, so I'm gonna hold off real quick.
Stand by. I'm
Yeah, no
here.
worries. Are you here? All right, cool.
I'm here.
I saw the freezing, so I stopped a little bit.
I'm working off
All
a
right.
hotel internet, so it's probably me. My apologies. We'll keep rocking. So
Yeah,
talk
no
to me the
worries.
first time you heard EXP. What where'd you hear it from and what were your first thoughts?
Yeah, so my business partner was already at Keller Williams, so the team originated at Keller Williams. We did the traditional team model. We were out there rocking and rolling. We were able to go from essentially 2 agents to about 7 or 8 agents within a couple of months. Everything was good.
Nice.
By the time we started hitting some friction points with our specific branch firm, we were not I was doing commercial real estate at the time, and I'm still doing commercial real estate now, but I got a lot of friction because there was no other commercial agents inside the office. So I
Mm,
wasn't getting the support when I was asking for specific programs like CoStar or Reonomy. It was just a little bit different. We come to find out that in larger firms like that, they're still independently owned and operated, meaning we still have an additional layer of red tape, not only within the firm's guidelines, but within the
right.
individual ownership personality. So we started looking for some different ways. Now, EXP came across our lap several times. We had other agents saying, "Hey, you should come and join." You know, the typical stuff where, any agent at any firm is going to say, "Hey, if you're a performer, come join us." But it wasn't until we were ready to hear the message, right? Then we really
Right.
started looking. And then we started to dive into all of the different options for us. But EXP kind of started to check all the boxes for us before we made that jump.
Could you share with us because I think it's really interesting. There might be team owners, independents that are listening to this. What was some of that criteria? Maybe just a few things if you can't remember all the things, but give us an idea. What were some of those boxes?
Absolutely. So for us, we had already built the team and a brand around it, right? And as far as people recognize us as being investor centric. So one of the most important things is us having the ability to continue to carry that brand. There's some firms out there that are just won't allow you to put your brand on it. They won't. You have to carry their logo and their brand. So that was one big proponent for us. Now the other piece is when we looked at splits, we wanted to make sure that the splits were still favorable for us. And we wanted a cap as well, because Keller Williams model has a split and a cap. EXP's is a lot less as far as split goes and cap goes. So it was like, okay, that's a no-brainer. We also saw that Keller Williams provided that passive income through profit sharing. And at the time, I mean, we were at Keller Williams, I don't even think it was a full year before we made the jump. Maybe it was over a year. It's irrelevant. At that point in time, I had already brought 14 people over as far as profit share goes. And I was making maybe like $700 a month, which is good. I'm not upset with it. That's a whole cash flowing rental property.
Yeah.
But EXP had the same component, but it was revenue share, right? So instead of cutting the expenses out first, boom. So coming over, I was able to do the same thing with like 5 people, you know? So it was just astonishing. But the real key component for us, the one thing that kind of like broke the camel's back, the reason why we chose EXP is because we were investor centric. We were doing a lot of things that a lot of firms will consider to be taboo or out of the box, and they just don't feel comfortable with it. For example, we were wholesaling as agents, and that's a very legal thing to do. But when you have the ownership not really understanding it and they're telling you, no, you can't do that here, it's like, now you're going to put handcuffs on me. I have to go somewhere where I can do some of these more creative things. So the ability that we can start to do some more creative stuff for our investing side, we can do the commercial and the residential side. We're able to build a team, not necessarily in a traditional manner, but still be able to grow it and expand it. All those things is what really ultimately landed us at EXP.
Right. Cool. So I always, the number one thing that I always hear when people do make the transition over to EXP is I wish I would have came over sooner. Right.
Oh, for sure.
Do you guys feel the same with that?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely, man. You know, hindsight's 2020, but if we could have came over even just a year earlier than when we did, it would have been insane. At that point in time, you know, you were giving stock awards like we are now, but it was like at $3 a share.
Right.
It would have just been, it'd have been a different story.
Yeah, totally. So what's something now that you're over at EXP? What's like, I get this from a few people where they get over here and they didn't realize how great something was, or they knew about it, but it just was like, wow, I didn't really understand the full weight of how great this actually is. Is there anything like that for you guys now that you're over at EXP?
It honestly, it was the revenue share, to be quite honest, because we already had the idea to do the traditional team model. In fact, we brought over the traditional team model to EXP. And what I mean by traditional team models, where our agents that are underneath us are basically paying 50% to the team plus the additional split to EXP. And we started to realize quickly that our top performers, they would want to run and cut ties, right? But once they realize that they can do it themselves. But the power of the revenue share allowed us to switch that model to say, hey, look, you just come to EXP, you sign us as a sponsor, and we're now going to create a community of like-minded agents and investors, and we are going to hold weekly trainings, and we're going to build like this entire system around it. And as you guys perform, you don't pay us anything because EXP is going to cover it. And that's allowed us to expand significantly.
So you didn't have to hire additional staff to scale that, right? Did you need to put a down payment, buy a building, a regional office, any of that stuff?
We actually had 2 or 3 people, full-time staff for us. We had some TCs, we had executive admin, we had an operating manager, all of that stuff on the traditional team set. We actually was able to get rid of all of that, right? Which cut our overhead immediately by, it was 80, 90, 100,000, somewhere around there just in salaries, right? So immediately we get to save that. And we didn't have to hire anything else in that realm. We had the virtual offices. You know, we still conduct in-person meetings or in-person meetups, but that's just something that we like to do with the culture, right? Or with the community. But yeah, we were able to slash overhead costs almost to zero.
And did you need a broker's license to do any of that?
No.
Didn't need a broker's license. Didn't have to buy a building.
Nope.
Put $200,000, $300,000 down to buy
Nope.
into the franchise. Is EXP a
Yeah.
franchise?
No, no, it's not. And that's the other beautiful thing is that we don't have to deal with, like I mentioned, the red tape of not only going through the firm, but then the individual owners is very
Right,
frustrating.
right.
We don't have that. It's one company, one umbrella. So once we get it approved to say, hey, yes, we can wholesale,
Yep.
everybody on our team can now wholesale as agents. And
Right.
it's just a lot less headache.
Cool. So let's go back a little bit. Give me the juicy details, man. I'm sure you guys didn't just find EXP one day and add your box, checklist of your boxes you wanted to check, and you're like, "Yep, this is a good fit." Talk to us about the friction there and some of the hesitations and fears that your leaders in your team had.
Yeah, for sure. So at first, when we were at Keller Williams and everything was going great, when EXP was presented to us, it was like, why? If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? We're good. It wasn't until the point where it wasn't good, where we almost panicked to try to find an escape route because we had a lot of deals in the pipeline that we were just told we can't execute at the specific branch we were at. So it's like, well, damn, that's a lot of potential money on the table here. We have to make
Yeah.
a move fairly quickly. So that part was that was a lot of friction there. While we were interviewing, one of the things is when you interview anybody, they're always telling you the things you want to hear, right? Because
Right.
they want you to come. So we had to be very cautious about what we're listening for and what we knew we were looking for. Now, once we identified that EXP had a lot of those same things we were looking for, there was also somebody that was very important in everything in our career. The fact that we even met up, me and my business partner, and his name is Ruben. Shout outs to Ruben. And he was also looking to go to different firms because he was at one point in time the actual CEO of the branch office that we were at. And he was like, man, I've been looking around. I heard a lot about the CXP. We started kind of digging around. Now, all of a sudden, my business partner has somebody she's talking to at EXP. Ruben has somebody. I have somebody. And now the other friction point was like, well, how do we align all of this? Right. Because, the sponsorship
Right.
program it is what it is. Once we all kind of sat down collectively and we all had mutual respect for everybody,
Right.
we got to air out our grievances, figure out what we wanted to do. And then we decided that we wanted to make sure that we aligned ourselves with the right person at EXP. Because as you're aware, at EXP, it can be anybody. We had somebody call me, and I had actually told her about EXP. This was a long time ago. And then she called me and said, hey, I just joined EXP. How do I get into your group? And I'm like, what? She said, yeah, I picked up a business card off of the floor at a grocery store, and I just signed up under him. And I was
Right.
like, oh, like a lot of people don't know that, right? And unfortunately, now she's not getting any feedback from the guy. She's kind of left on her own. So we made sure we aligned ourselves with the right person, and we made the jump, and the rest is history.
Cool. So that's so important. I actually want to break that down because I always tell people who you partner with and align yourself with. It's a big, even if there's no model like this, but especially in a model like this. So dissect that for maybe someone that's just starting to look at EXP and they don't really understand what you're talking about.
Oh, this is great. So when you join EXP, you have to assign somebody as your sponsor. And the way that we look at it, and we try to make sure everybody understands that's joining our team, is the sponsor is the person who is going to take this entire journey with you throughout your entire career at EXP. That means you can start off on a team, you can start your own team, you can get big license to open up a branch office of EXP, which is a different conversation. You can do all these things, but your sponsor is going to be there to ride it out with you, there to give you guidance, to give you support, to guide you in the right direction, to be a sounding board, whatever you can imagine. If that's the important part, because you can also join EXP and find somebody who has what's called a team. And by team, they could mean a traditional model where they're sending you leads, you're doing deals, you're getting money, and maybe you're paying them a little something. And that's fine. But as soon as you leave that team, there's no obligation for that person to actually be there for you and support you. So when you're looking for a sponsor, the questions I encourage everyone to ask is why am I getting licensed as a realtor? What do I ultimately want in my real estate career? And can my sponsor help me throughout?
Right.
If you answer these two and your sponsor can't do that, just find more sponsors and make sure that you're interviewing thoroughly, because It's very difficult. And right now, I don't think you can. If you sign up underneath a sponsor, that's it. I think the only way that you can realign a sponsor is by leaving EXP for a minimum of 6 months and then coming back. Yeah. It's a lot of headache, right? So that's aligning correctly is very important.
Yep, totally. Well, cool, man. I'm glad you broke that down. So now tell us about everything that you're doing. If someone's looking at having you sponsor them, you guys are doing so much stuff now. Tell us, let's start with that first year you guys were at EXP. Let's start there and then work our way up to everything you guys are doing. How'd that first year look after you guys came over to EXP? Production, agent count, all that.
Yeah, so the first year was real hectic because we were rocking the traditional model. I think for most of the year, I think for the whole year. So what we did was we were able to grow that team from, at the time that we did it, we had already lost an agent too. So maybe we were at like 6 and we grew it to about 17 or 18 that first year. Right. We did about 130 million in production. No, I'm sorry, 130 units. That's awesome. And I can't remember the volume amount, but it was like 19 million or something like that in our market, right? Because our market's a little lower price point. But it was a great year. It was an outstanding year. We also started running into the issue of our top producers, right? They wanted to kind of step away and create their own thing. And at the time, even though we were at EXP, we didn't have the light turned on yet to actually support that. So we lost some top producers, and then we were able to sit back, reevaluate what we can leverage out through EXP. And then we made that change come the second year, which was also pretty volatile because some people really wanted the traditional team method to come to find out. But what we were able to ultimately decide is what is the culture that we're trying to portray. And we wanted to portray a culture of these are independent business owners that we are here to empower to build the lifestyle that they deserve, that they want. So if we can be that sounding board to help guide them and lead them and be that Sherpa, if you will, those are the people that we want to attract.
I love that, man. So, all right. So you guys are operating inside this hybrid model. You guys are growing this team. You guys even expanded to Charlotte as well. You guys were just crushing this thing. And then you guys pivoted and you went with more individual partners where you were kind of helping them grow. Now you guys have all this free time and lower overhead, and you guys are expanding multiple different companies. So talk to us about that stuff. What are you guys up to now?
Absolutely. So just like you mentioned, the team now is stretched across, I don't even know how many states right now, but we're about 97 different agents in the community, which is outstanding because what this allows us to do is, again, to support that community. But now we're seeing individual leaders step up as well, right? And now we have different, we call them pods, if you will, where people are now going in specific groups. They're talking about investing. They're talking about Airbnb management. They're talking about all these things within the community. So that's a beautiful thing. My business partner also started a meetup way back when, called Pints and Properties. That's now has expanded as well. And we're now in over 28 cities with that meetup. Wow. So we're still managing that, helping that grow as well. In addition to that, I've got my hand in a little bit of everything. We own rental units, like we mentioned before. Many of them are, again, shared with me and my business partner, but she has several by herself. I have several by myself. I also had the opportunity to evaluate different, or to participate in different roles. At one point in time, I was a CFO of the small private equity firm that we talked about with the hotel syndication. Yep. I was a mortgage loan advisor, a commercial mortgage loan advisor for about a year. And now I primarily just do one-on-one consulting, commercial investment consulting, while helping kind of lead the team and educate the team as much as possible.
That's awesome, man. You're doing so much stuff. So if someone wanted to partner with you, I've got Mike's email down below if you want to reach out to Mike. But if someone wanted to partner with you, let's say, I think there's a lot of independence is really the opportunity I'm looking at, and let's say they wanted to partner with you. What benefit would they have, an independent that's looking at EXP and all of their agents, if they're looking at partnering with Mike Glaspie? What would you tell that person?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the beautiful thing is you're going to get all the benefits that EXP has to offer, and you're going to get it unencumbered, meaning your 20% that you pay is your 20%. Your ability to cap is your ability to cap. There's not going to be any interference when you join a community like ours. But in addition to that, you're going to have an entire community with all different kinds of experiences and skill sets that they practice daily. Everything from small business owners who literally on our team, they're agents, but they actually own property management companies. They actually own knife making companies. They actually own cleaning companies. They actually own lawn care companies, and they're sharing their knowledge about how they run and operate a business. In addition to that, we have our weekly meetings where we bring in experts from all across the world. We do things from communication coaching, obviously sales, but I mean, even this morning, we had somebody speak to us about marijuana dispensaries, how he's able to create these two companies that are kind of cutting edge or could be considered taboo in many industries, but he's cash flowing over $350,000 a month, cash flowing, right? And that's so we're able to bring in this guy to kind of train and educate. So the way I like to think of it is it's a hub of like-minded individuals to be able to come and share experiences and learn and feed off of each other and be able to grow through our already branded network.
What if I've already got my brand? Do I have to be 5 pillars if I'm XYZ Realty?
No, we encourage you to have your own brand, your own flag, and we're going to show you how to actually use it. If you're not already doing it, we'll show you how to put it out on the social media and how to really start to bring attraction without paying for ads and all of these other things, right? Because people have been there and done that in this community. So it's like walking or standing on the shoulders of giants, right?
So what do I have to pay you if I wanted to do this? And what's the catch? This sounds a little too good.
Yeah, so I'm gonna tell you, it's a hefty price. All right, a hefty price of $0. that's absolutely it. But there is no catch. Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, and I tell everybody this: we have all the resources you can imagine available. If you said, "Hey, I need somebody, I need a lender, I need an attorney, I need a whatever," we have the resources available. But if you're not willing to do the work, if you're not willing to simply go onto our Google Share Drive that we've created with all of these tools and resources, if you're not willing to show up for the weekly meetings, if you're not willing to show up into the group chats and add a little bit of value and then ask questions there, this is not the right place for you, because we can't hold your hand here, right? We need like-minded individuals who are ready to put in the work to succeed. And then we have all the resources at your fingertips.
Totally. We can't want it more than you do, right?
Exactly. We tried that game. It doesn't work. It does not.
Cool, man. So what do you think? I think I've touched on a lot of the big myths and fears that people have. Do you feel like I've missed anything? I mean, what's out there that you feel like people are really struggling with? I think it's hard for people to see because it is a little bit different being an interdependent type of model. And what are your thoughts? What are some other fears as we wrap up? Like what do you want to tell everybody about EXP if they're still trying to like get it?
Yeah. So this is the one thing that really just like stuck me in the heart when I finally realized it. A lot of people join or decide to become an agent for one of two reasons, right? It's say, hey, I want to be able to work when I want, spend more time at home, or I'm really looking for the paycheck, right? And that's 90% of what I've heard. I haven't heard many other reasons why people join. But what happens is they start to forget that as an agent, you are truly now an independent business owner, and it is a business. So the real question becomes, okay, how do I run my business and still get that time freedom to spend with my loved ones? And two, what happens when I stop producing? Right. Is it still a business? And so the beautiful thing about EXP is there are so many systems that you could just join as an agent. And as long as you're using the systems, now you've been able to leverage a lot of it to get some of that time freedom back. But two, you're able to build up that revenue share. And the beautiful thing is at 3 years and 1 day that you've been at EXP consecutively, that rev share is now vested for life, as long as you stay licensed and as long as you keep the umbrella under EXP. So vested for life means, hey, if I can build up my rev share to $3,000, $2,000 a month, well, that's more than enough to cover all the realtor expenses for the year. And now I have residual income. And now I can spend a lot more time with my family. So I think people don't really understand the power of building a business, a true business, right? A business where you're not working in it day to day, 9 to 9, for 23 years, 30 years. How do
Right.
you build a business that can generate that passive income for you over time? And the beautiful thing is you can do it in 3 to 5 years, right? You can be a badass agent right now,
Yep.
but just bring on like-minded individuals and be done in 3 to 5 years.
Yep. I know you guys have so many systems and have learned from a lot of the greats, a lot of the giants. It reminds me of Michael Gerber. You know, people don't create a business, they create a job,
Job.
right? So
Yep.
I know you guys teach you a lot of those points, man. So, dude, I think everyone should talk to Mike if you guys are thinking about EXP. They have so many resources with him and his partners. Mike, you got any last words of wisdom as we wrap up, man? I think that's it. You covered so much. I really appreciate it.
No, I really appreciate you having me on. And if you guys are interested in anything, please let me know. But Jacob is amazing. His team is amazing as well. The biggest thing is just go out and start asking the questions. That's it. If you're going to take anything from this, just start asking the questions.
Yep, absolutely. Well, cool. Mike, we're at time, man. I really appreciate your time. This was excellent, man. I love getting to interview somebody at your level because you get so much and you're doing so much. So thank you for your insight and your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, guys. Peace out. We'll see you on the next one.